Recognized as one of the most relevant books in the economic sector, The Art of Making Money is a masterful text that contains the most important teachings for creating wealth through clear explanations of how money works. Mexican writer Mario Borghino presents the most important financial lessons for increasing our earnings. For this reason, in this video, I will present to you the 30 most valuable tips to start creating wealth. Possibly, tip number 10 may be the most useful for you. Listen carefully to find out what it's about. Number 1. Identify who is truly rich. Do you want to know if you're rich? Then ask yourself how long you could live without receiving a salary. Most people can't live for more than a few months, and this not only happens to those who earn minimum wages, but also to those who earn mega executive salaries. People who think like millionaires enjoy economic independence because they can sustain themselves for a year without receiving a salary. In contrast, there are those who receive large sums of money per month but cannot be considered rich because they spend it all at an accelerated rate. That is, if they were to lose their job, they would go bankrupt simply because their lifestyle requires very high salaries. The key to the rich is always living below their means in order to increase the assets that can provide them with financial freedom at an early age. If you get used to spending all the money you earn in a month, you will never be able to aspire to wealth. You would be surprised to find that some people who live in luxurious houses are not truly rich, while others who are rich live in normal houses and have an average standard of living without dazzling luxuries. Number 2. Understand how to properly manage money. According to the lines of the text, the fundamental principle that will allow you prosperity will be self-mastery. This means having the character maturity to determine the appropriate use for your money, because without it, you will hardly have a clear vision of how to achieve financial independence. Expressed in an easy-to-remember phrase, financial independence consists of making money work for you and not against you. According to the author, many economic problems are not explained by a lack of income but by undisciplined spending. Consequently, your prosperity does not depend solely on your income but on how you manage it. In other words, what matters is not what you earn but how you spend it, or rather, the intelligent use you make of the money. It is common in today's economy to be invited to follow this pattern. Work hard, claim your salary at the end of the month, meet your basic obligations, squander the remaining money on any fashionable item, and repeat the process indefinitely. That sums up the lives of the vast majority of people. However, this way of acting condemns us to be slaves to money because we cannot stop working since we depend 100% on it to spend on countless products or services. Nevertheless, with a small change of plans, which consists of not spending what is left over but starting to save and then invest, it is likely that our wealth options will increase considerably. That is why giving priority to saving and investing over any habitual expense based on emotions should be an unbreakable law of your finances. Number 3. Recognize the influence that advertising has on you. Our modern society is fundamentally based on consumption. Relentless propaganda about a multitude of products and services awaits us every morning and every moment. We live in an era where apparently it is possible to have it all with the power of our signature. But behind this illusion, there will always be someone who wants to enrich themselves at our expense. Unfortunately, the consumer society, television, social networks, and marketing geniuses seduce many people into consuming large quantities of products. Today, the opportunities to acquire wonderful material things are countless, and this has a negative impact on our finances. According to the book, we are prey to consumerism, and in that habit of excessive shopping lies much of the problem that leads to lack of money. Always ask yourself, is it necessary to buy this? Do I really want it? Or is the advertising making me desire it? It is highly recommended that you wait a few hours before making a purchase that results from a sudden desire. If you do so, you will notice that the desire often passes while the money remains safely in your pocket. Number 4. Avoid incurring expenses for appearances. Living by appearances is one of the worst mistakes a person can make. This mistake is common among middle and lower class people who seek approval from others through extravagance or, in some cases, through indebtedness, which generates a greater monetary deficit for the future. You can see many people on social networks with brand name clothing, new technological items, and in different places while traveling, but much of that is achieved through the excessive loss of savings or through the payment of credits that are difficult to pay off later. That's why people with a lot of money are characterized by following a particular lifestyle that allows them to accumulate wealth. It doesn't benefit a truly rich person to spend their money seeking the approval of others. A truly rich person is interested in increasing assets that generate increasingly higher profits. So, if we think about it, wealth is not determined by what we observe about a person but by what that person does with their money. Basically, you are rich if you have the ability to accumulate money and make it grow, while buying things to show off lead to increasing your state of poverty every day. Don't be fooled by appearances. Use your money wisely. Number 5. Multiply the benefits of any purchase. Generally, when people go shopping, they use products for immediate purposes. Therefore, every acquisition ends up being discarded quickly without generating a lasting benefit for their finances. In contrast to this, those with a millionaire mindset ensure that purchases add up rather than subtract. That is, if money is to be taken out of your pocket to pay for something, it is best for that something to represent greater profits for the future. According to the author's words, most of the things that the rich acquire have a guaranteed future value. In other words, they buy something useful for the present but even more profitable for the future. For example, it is common to see millionaires with extremely expensive paintings in their homes, which at first glance seems like an irrational expense. However, if you analyze it carefully, these artworks tend to appreciate over the years, which means that the initial purchase becomes very valuable for a possible resale. That's the key word, resale. Think about how many of the things you own can be sold in the future or retain their usefulness over time. On the other hand, if you realize that the purchase you are about to make loses its value quickly, it's better to take a break and think it over calmly to avoid affecting your finances. Number 6. Identify your current financial profile. According to people's attitudes toward money, it is possible to identify 4 major profiles, each with different behaviors and characteristics. First, there are the spenders. They act thinking that money is for paying for their purchases, and as they have good incomes, they can afford certain luxuries and spend the maximum that their income allows them. They live with an appearance of wealth, although in reality, they are slaves to their addiction to spending. Second, there are the misers. These people consider money as the sole purpose of their life. A life centered on money does not allow them to do other things because any enjoyment is a superfluous expense. Vacations are a threat to money and do not allow them to accumulate. They live with such insecurity that they do not allow themselves to enjoy life, turning their existence into a personal and family sacrifice. Their lack of security does not allow them to take risks in investment and finance, which is why they accumulate in traditional savings accounts to avoid risks. Third, there are the risk takers. They are driven by an entrepreneurial spirit and are daring in their investments. They think about their economic security but constantly risk everything they have in their new projects. The future of these individuals is as uncertain as the decisions and risks they take. They may end their lives with a significant estate or end up with very few resources in their maturity stage. One day they have a lot, and the next day they have no way to sustain themselves. Their personality resembles that of many athletes and artists who live a life of ups and downs financially. Finally, in 4th place, there are those who think like millionaires. These are people who believe that wealth can be accumulated and enjoyed. They believe that life requires a clear vision of what is desired for the financial future. Since they have clear goals, they plan their expenses and savings, take risks in certain investments, and constantly seek opportunities to increase the profitability of their money. Their millionaire mindset thinks about the freedom that economic stability produces and seeks to rationalize expenses to increase their investment capacity year by year. Number 7. Establish financial goals. Few people become wealthy just by accumulating wealth. They generally have a motive that drives them. Wealth is the vehicle that provides them with what they want in life. Wealth arises from a deep conviction that drives people to action, to be consistent, methodical, dedicated, and studious in the matter. Therefore, the best way to make proper use of money is by establishing clear goals that allow its multiplication and allow the realization of desired dreams and experiences. That is, with clear financial goals, we can stop emotional spending, which is a product of advertising and appearances, and create a system that motivates us to be judicious with our money for the benefit of greater goods, such as acquiring our own home, starting our own business, or the possibility of traveling to desired destinations. Money needs a focused guide for great results to be evident, and that is why we cannot be prey to sudden expenses. On the contrary, by creating a commitment with our future selves, we must be methodical in setting goals that allow us to enjoy to the fullest. The clearer our steps are, the easier the path will be. Number 8. Turn money into a tool. According to the author, in developed countries, money is seen as a tool, while in Latin American countries, it is considered a necessity. This implies that money has a very special emotional connotation, and decisions will be based on that emotional perception that one has regarding it. That's why it's important to understand that there is a big difference between the mindsets of a rich person and a poor person because, in Mario Borghino's words, rich people make their money work for them while poor people have to work for their money. This conception of money marks a big difference regarding who enjoys the financial world and who suffers from it. Understanding that money can be used to our advantage implies stopping spending by emotion to implement it better in different investment methods. In this way, money becomes a tool for generating more money, which increases our wealth while reducing our work. Number 9. Learn to identify the context when opportunities arise. It is likely that most of us determine what to do based on previous experiences, that is, we create a judgment of value based on what our mind indicates, which prevents us from analyzing the complete context of what is happening. According to the author, when we make a judgment about a certain event, what we see is not what we see. What we see is what we think we see. We barely see an opportunity. Our mind gives it a meaning based on experiences that we have registered in our mind, which means that we investigate very little in the external world to see new opportunities and make our decisions with that superficiality. When you see an opportunity, you think you know what you're seeing because you recognize it. But the reality is that most of the information comes from our mind, limiting our range of vision. For Mario Borghino, this situation is similar to what happens with mice when they see cheese. In his words, I believe that if mice didn't only see cheese as an opportunity, they wouldn't fall so easily into the trap, since they could have a global picture of reality and understand the context in which the cheese is. In this way, they could avoid making a wrong decision. Number 10. Learn from the leadership of millionaires. A big step to improve your relationship with money is by taking as a reference the thinking and action model of those who possess great wealth. According to Mario Borghino, the main characteristic of the rich is that they think and act with leadership. That is, they demonstrate that they have conditions to stand out among the majority of people, and that is why their ability to generate money grows at a faster rate compared to the rest of society. However, it is important to understand that leaders are true builders of wealth, not only for themselves but also for thousands of people because they have a special sensitivity to identify opportunities and a natural talent to consolidate their finances. The prosperity of leaders is synonymous with prosperity for those around them. If you become a leader, many around you will want to follow you on the winning path, and that can create a favorable environment for you and for all those who matter to you. Think of yourself as someone extraordinary who seeks better results both for yourself and for the community that follows you because of your ability to generate wealth. Number 11. Think about your family's progress. A very common financial mistake is to think only about personal benefit. This means that efforts to obtain money are focused solely on meeting personal needs and desires. In other words, what I earn is for me and no one else matters. However, contrary to this way of thinking, many wealthy individuals forge ambitious projects not only for themselves but also taking into consideration their descendants. Thus, the financial well-being of their children and possible grandchildren has the same relevance within their plans. This is because family prosperity is more enduring than the prosperity of an individual. Therefore, the minds of millionaires understand that financial education is important for both adults and minors because the more knowledge is accumulated in the home, the greater the results will be for the benefit of all. Mario Borghino affirms that in most poor families, money is a taboo topic that is rarely discussed. However, it would be very beneficial for the future of their children if they became familiar with money management at an early stage of their lives. This is because our responsibility as parents is to instill financial culture in them because it is not good to wait for college or school to do it since there is little space for these topics in the school curriculum. With that said, consider these 4 recommendations for educating your children. 1. Educate them to have compulsive shopping habits. 2. Explain to them the impact of work on personal economy. Money is not obtained for free. Discipline is required to earn it. 3. Do not buy everything your children want just because their friends have it. Do not succumb to unnecessary expenses due to social pressure. Number 12. Have financial advisors. If you have emotional problems, you go to a psychologist and tell them all your concerns. If you have physical problems, you go to a specialist doctor and tell them your ailments. If your car is failing, you go to the mechanic and tell them to fix it. But if we have financial problems, we don't tell anyone, or only to close relatives who usually don't know much about money either. That's why, in Money Matters, it's also necessary to seek specialists from whom one can learn to improve the situation. Additionally, if you have some money available for investment, it is quite useful to have the advice of a good financial advisor. They will help you reduce risk and increase income probabilities. People who think like millionaires never have just one advisor. They usually choose several with whom they can compare advice. Advisors can be an accountant, a banker, a lawyer, an insurance advisor, a stock advisor, or a friend who is an entrepreneur. Furthermore, it is necessary to build the habit of reading and mastering the basics of the subject, since the best advisor is yourself, as long as you can create a rational judgment with the ability to carefully evaluate the words offered by advisors. Number 13. Understand that the rich play to win. It is different to think about winning than to think about not losing. Those who go through life avoiding losing get the least out of the opportunities that allow them, as fear greatly conditions their decisions. The minds of millionaires think about winning, seeking to assume a rational attitude to maximize their decision and reduce uncontrollable variables that may affect their savings. According to the text, people who think like the poor play defensively, never offensively. The priority of people whose mindset is identified with that of the poor will be to survive and seek security instead of creating wealth. The reality is that most people are afraid of being rich because they harbor many negative thoughts and fear losing what little they have accumulated. Additionally, a good number of people do not achieve the money they want because they do not know what they want from money. They see it only as a purchasing tool, not as a wealth-building tool, and that is a determining factor in anyone's prosperity. Number 14. Understand the relationship between health and finances. According to Mario Borghino, it is interesting to discover the similarity between physical health and economic health, since both poor eating habits and poor financial habits end up ruining anyone. Financial well-being has a close relationship with taking care of your health. Your physical integrity precedes your ability to achieve economic goals. Perhaps it is necessary to start eating for health and not just for taste, or do some exercise and manage your stress level. Covering your economic ambitions with cardiac problems will not be of any use. Just as you need to take care of your economic health with great devotion, you also need to take care of your physical health, as it will be what transports you through life and determines how long you can enjoy your financial intelligence. Remember that the most desirable thing for an entrepreneur is to reach the summit of success healthy, to contemplate and enjoy the work done in their life for a long time. Number 15. Seek harmony with money. Harmony is the key that will allow you to build your value structure. Your honesty, righteousness, and justice cannot be lost due to money. If money completely subordinates your human values, over time the end will justify the means. Therefore, the economic result will be more important than the path to achieve it, and this can be a catastrophe for your spiritual life. Many great thinkers agree that if you do not act as you think, you will end up thinking as you act, and in the end, you are anything but what you wanted to be. Your actions must be guided by thoughts with deep values so that money does not make you prey to greed and excessive ambition. It is not possible to live with intermittent values that are used only for our convenience. If you want to achieve fullness as a person and healthy financial growth, start by defining your non-negotiable values. Additionally, if what you do is what you love the most, continue doing it. The profile of millionaires is characterized by working on what they love the most. When money is the only reason for being in a job, there is a risk of losing qualities such as creativity, passion, and enjoyment. When a person lacks these, their life loses meaning to a large extent, and economic growth stagnates due to lack of happiness in what is done. Number 16. Learn to differentiate between good debt and bad debt. By definition, good debts increase your wealth by acquiring goods or services of great value, while bad debts are incurred to acquire non-essential products that generally increase poverty. For example, buying an apartment with credit to rent it out. If the rent of that apartment pays the bank debt plus expenses, then you have incurred good debt because you accumulate assets without investing a cent. The apartment pays for itself, and your money works for you, not the other way around. The secret lies in not using your money but the bank's. Additionally, there are debts considered good due to their impact over time. An example of this is the credit taken out for education, since, upon completing studies, you may aspire to a higher salary. In other words, any debt that can help you obtain an additional benefit is considered good debt. In short, You incur it to increase your assets or your income using money that is not yours but someone else's. In contrast to this, bad debt is incurred to satisfy sudden desires for things of little importance. For example, if you already have a car and you borrow to buy a new one just because it looks nicer, then that is a bad debt. Taxes, the agency, and your ego may thank you, but not your bank account. A new car is not an asset that accumulates wealth. On the contrary, it loses its value year after year. Additionally, within bad debts are our magical credit cards with which most people make emotional expenses based on unprofitable justifications for our pocket. If you are one of those emotional people who tell themselves they deserve to buy because they worked so hard, or buy to improve their mood, or because the product is on sale, then you will be a recurring victim of bad debts. Number 17. Identify the thoughts that limit your wealth. There are 5 mental excuses that reduce people's chances of success. Each of them is highly detrimental, so you must work to prevent them from being present in your thoughts. You only live once, so you have to spend it all immediately. Math has never been my strong suit, so I don't bother with calculations. I already have enough with my job to sit down and analyze finances. Things are getting more expensive every day, and life is harder, so I don't save. I work so hard that I need to rest and indulge myself. Number 18. Know what the most common obstacles to financial health are. The most common and harmful obstacles to our financial health are 4. Ignorance. Education made us professionals in a specific area, but ignorant of what we generate with so much effort throughout our lives. That's why many people admit that if they lost their job, they wouldn't know how to cover their debts. Studying about money should be an obligation or at least one of the duties of any responsible citizen concerned with their well-being and that of their family. Lack of clear objectives. The absence of clear financial goals plunges people into short-term consumption and leads them to respond emotionally to marketing manipulations. Without a guiding vision, immediate determinations justify their behaviors. When clear goals are set, our minds instinctively create a plan to achieve them by first asking how will I achieve them and what must I do to make them a reality. Lack of good management. Leaders know that proper resource management is the key to their success. The healthy management of the budget is their responsibility. The finances of those who lack this administrative discipline are directed by mere whims or needs of the moment, governing their expenses based on what they believe they need at the moment they pass by a product. Therefore, it is advisable to consider that the rigor of good management through the budget is an indispensable principle for healthy finances. Urgency to get rich. The secret in the future will be that you develop the ability to replace immediate pleasure with better control of your impulses. This will demonstrate your maturity. Therefore, you must learn to self-regulate if you want to have surpluses for greater financial stability. Do not let the anxiety for wealth cloud your judgment, as this will further delay the achievement of great results. Number 19. Recognize what the 4 ways to earn a living are. We could summarize by saying that you can earn money through certain basic activities. As an employee, a professional, a merchant, or an investor. If you listen carefully about these activities, the only one in which we are dependent is that of an employee. The rest belong to independent activities where you are your own boss. However, most human beings work in a dependent relationship where someone hires us to do a job. As the need for security is a basic part of human nature, we first seek a job and then, if we feel there is no danger, we risk starting a business or working on our own. It would seem that we need a period of time to accumulate security and reduce the uncertainty of risk since most people decide to become independent after several years of working for someone else. Number 20. Understand the negative implications of being an employee. Most of us have been educated to be employees. Until recently, we didn't think about anything other than getting a job because ultimately what we seek is a secure job. However, nowadays, technology is automating production processes on a large scale, which will soon require only a few workers who will only have to supervise the proper functioning of intelligent machines. That is, in the coming years, the technological future will leave many workers in the street who will not be able to join this new era of high technology. According to experts, job security is a thing of the past because today there is no place more insecure than a job. In the past, people wanted to spend many years in the same position because it gave them security. With so much experience, most people thought no one could replace them. However, nowadays, if an employee spends a long time in the same job, they risk becoming obsolete due to routine. According to the author's words, those who seek stability in employment for economic security are not understanding the world they live in. Today, job security is not given by the years one has been in the company, but by the knowledge one has and the technological capacity to meet the needs of the company and the market. Number 21. Analyze the reality of the independent professional. Professionals who live off their knowledge have a series of very large advantages, but also many disadvantages. Independent people do what they want with their time and work on what they like. They are masters of their own decisions and professional fulfillment, up to the limit of their ambitions or capacities. They have what most people long for in a job, to do what they love most in life with total freedom. They are people who live off what they know, doing the work themselves. That is, if the professional gets sick, their income gets sick. For that reason, it is important to keep in mind the 8 factors that limit the capacity of the independent professional to build wealth. You must consider that professional fees never grow at the same rate as inflation, which happens with products. The service they provide is not repetitive in the long term. As no dependency is generated on all clients, it is necessary to seek more clients. It is difficult to grow in their market by diversifying products because both their product and their specialty are unique. Clients do not have a relationship of dependency that obliges them to always turn to you, but your service can be easily replaced by another. Your business is very dependent on you as a person. The client trusts you and not your assistant. This means that all the workload falls on you, making it difficult for you to delegate tasks to others to multiply efforts indefinitely. You cannot serve more clients than the time allows. That is why the independent person has a limit on income, because they only have a limited time to do their work. You cannot update the price of products because you do not have inventory. Inventory is your knowledge, and you cannot update its value whenever you want. The updating of your income is regulated by the number of clients that normally decrease when you increase your fees. When a professional takes vacations, so does their wallet. All the time you take vacations, your sources of income will be closed since your income generation depends on you. Number 22. Recognize the influence of the merchant in your daily life. If you become aware of the world you live in, you will realize that most of the time you are attended by a person who has a small business. Statistics reveal that more than 90% of business activities are carried out by small businesses. Nowadays, many of us have a university education, but unfortunately, governments no longer have the capacity to generate job opportunities for everyone. That is why it is necessary to recognize the path of the merchant as a possibility to progress in the market. Day by day, commerce has shown that it is a great opportunity to have a better quality of life and to be able to accumulate wealth in less time. Above all, the merchant owns their time and can manage their money with greater freedom, as well as deduct many expenses that allow them to have more profits. The merchant can negotiate better conditions with suppliers and can modify prices according to economic fluctuations. However, it is common for many merchants to make mistakes when starting their business. That is why it is convenient for you to listen carefully to each of them so that you can avoid incurring in these 4 common mistakes at all costs. Not investing enough time to research the viability of the business. This is the most serious and most frequent mistake. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs fail because the idea they had was not viable. There is so much anxiety to open the business that they do not even conduct market research. Incorporating unnecessary partners. When you need to invest, you look for partners who are often friends or relatives. Unfortunately, many of these partners do not contribute more than money, but they own 50% of your business. They are a burden if they do not add value. Before choosing partners, think twice. Analyze if your partner's contribution or specialty occurs in the area where the business needs it, and do not just invite them out of friendship or kinship to cover your back because you trust them. Lack of clarity in the long-term purposes of your business. Although your company is young, you must have in mind what you expect from it in the long term. No matter if you change it over time, this definition is very important when in the future you have to decide whether to incorporate a new product or create new alliances. Clarity allows you to select the right steps for your project. Lack of focus and identity. Your company and its products must have identity strength in the market. At first, many want to go to all opportunities and expand so much that they do not focus on a specific product or service. Focusing gives you negotiation power and market control. Not everyone can be your customer. Keep that in mind, and you will know who to address correctly. Number 23. Adopt the concept of an investor no matter what the word implies. Investor sounds like it's a complex activity reserved for people with a lot of money to invest. It also carries the idea that investors are money experts and live a lifestyle few mortals can access. When one thinks of an investor, they imagine people wearing expensive suits, driving luxurious cars, and speaking in a language few can understand. However, according to the lines of the text, these ideas are far from reality. An investor is simply a person who is aware that money should be put to work to produce more money. Stagnant money becomes lazy and loses mobility day by day, gradually producing less money, which only makes one poorer. Regardless of your occupation, the secret is for you to be an investor. You must understand that, in addition to being an employee, an independent professional, or a trader, you can also have the ability to act as an investor. To do this, you must learn to move money, to dust off your traditional savings accounts that don't yield enough interest, so that you can start earning more with what you already have. According to Mario Borghino, people who educate their minds to understand how to invest money conclude at the end of the road that the value of money is not in its intrinsic value, but in how they manage it to produce more. If you want to keep your job or maintain your independence as a professional or trader, that's fine, but you should never stop being an investor. Remember that people who think like investors see money as a product to multiply, not as something to save. Saving will never make you a millionaire. Putting your money in savings accounts will only make the bank rich, not you. Number 24. Internalize the rules of a good investor. Once you have understood that being an investor is a possibility within everyone's reach, consider the 7 rules of investment to avoid losses in the financial market. 1. Invest little in the first stage. 2. Be a market strategist. Know the companies. 3. Diversify the risk. 4. Provide detailed information about your results. 5. Constantly calculate new investment opportunities. 6. Seek the advice of an expert. 7. Don't limit yourself to investing only in the stock market. Also, remember that investment requires the virtue of patience. As the world's best investor, Warren Buffett, said, "If you're not willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Number 25. Learn to manage your financial emotions. Most of us are recurrent victims of emotions, regardless of our income level. It's common to find those who succumb due to poor decision-making. In some cases, there are those who get into debt due to lack of financial education, becoming easy prey to appearance-driven spending, excessive use of credit cards, and vulnerability to offers. On the other hand, there are those who, although not falling into debt, spend all the money they earn every month because, being diligent at work, they believe they should have a great reward at all times. Furthermore, there are those who do not get into debt, do not spend recurrently, and earn good money by investing, but they are carried away by exuberance and reinvest their earnings in unproductive businesses because emotion makes them believe they will always have a winning streak. That's why Mario Borghino makes this clarification. Emotions in the world of money should only serve to increase adrenaline for better investing each day and feel the deep pleasure of gain, not to spend indiscriminately. In other words, those who learn to manage their emotions are the ones who truly gain an advantage in the financial world. Number 26. Change the paradigm you learned in the world of money. It's not enough to be in the right place at the right time. You need to be the person with the right mindset. That is, your beliefs are a key piece in determining your level of economic success. That's why many experts affirm that your income level will be an extension of your thought model. Don't forget that all things in life are created twice, mentally and physically. Mental creation comes first. You must know where you want to go economically before obtaining your wealth. Someone who starts to have a lot of money but isn't ready for it will surely have temporary happiness because their mind can't manage what it doesn't recognize. An obvious example is those who win the lottery. Various studies have confirmed that regardless of the amount won, in the end, most return to the economic level they had, that is, the amount their mind is accustomed to managing without fear. Number 27. Analyze your current situation. The only way to determine where to go is by first identifying where you are. If you don't know where you are, any decision you make will be a guess that can easily lead you down the wrong path. You must start by taking an inventory of your money. For this, you can use 3 strategies. First, establish a personal management system. Buy a file cabinet with dividers to put all the documents you have at home. Make the system as simple as possible by using categories such as personal documents, household expenses, and bank documents, among others. Also, Make a list on the computer of the documents you have so that you know where to find them from anywhere, and let a trusted family member have a copy in case of emergencies. Second, make a detailed profit and loss statement. When you track your income and expenses month by month, you will notice how easy it is to know how much you earn or lose. This will allow you to make decisions and changes in your consumption habits and expenses in general. Third, make a personal wealth balance. This personal balance will reveal the amount of wealth you have. It will also show you all the assets you have and all your debts. Include all your assets as well as all your debts, such as bank loans or loans from friends. Number 28. Learn from the Roman tithe. In the era when Rome was the most powerful empire in the world, they implemented the monthly payment of the tithe in every conquered region, an obligatory tax collected by their legions in all the dominated territories. The tithe equated to 10% of the income of each city and was delivered to the Caesar month after month. Thanks to this economic contribution, their wealth became immense. That's why, similar to the Roman Empire, Mario Borghino invites us to open a savings account so that every month we save 10% of our total income. This is the amount you should pay yourself for working an entire month. Additionally, it could be considered as a reward for daily effort and doesn't involve too much work to apply because it's a tangible, achievable goal with a deadline. Thus, it will improve your saving habits, and your money will increase significantly over time. If you have discipline with this habit, you will notice every month how pleasant it is to increase your money. The satisfaction of paying yourself for working will be unparalleled and will motivate you to move forward with your projects. Number 29. Control small expenses. The simplest things have more power than you think. A good number of people think about reducing large expenses to save money and not about the small ones, which largely harm their economy. Consequently, it's important to become aware of how small expenses can affect your financial well-being. Typically, these types of expenses are called expenses. These expenses consist of purchases of smaller amounts that, at first glance, don't affect your budget, but if analyzed in detail, have a high impact on your personal finances. Here are some examples of the most common expenses: the daily coffee you buy, store cravings, eating out, additional fees on basic services, and subscriptions you pay for but don't use. Number 30. Plan your retirement. Securing the future is not just a privilege for a few, it's a necessity for everyone, regardless of their capital. However, you have to keep in mind that you started your working life in one era and will end up retiring in a very different one. This new era is the knowledge era where your pension won't be enough to maintain your standard of living. Therefore, you must re-educate your mind as soon as possible. Over the years, pensions have been increasing the retirement age for both men and women. This means that gradually the worker's lifespan has been extending to the point where it's likely that, sooner than we think, we will see people aged 70 or older still performing tasks prior to retirement. That's why the best advice you can receive is to attend all the educational centers you know to educate yourself and grow your financial intelligence, since that will be your profession for the rest of your days. Many jobs today are designed for the model of the Industrial Revolution, not for the 21st century model where the era of knowledge and artificial intelligence will determine the economic success or failure of a person. What is your opinion about these wealth-building teachings? If you liked the video, share it with a friend or family member so they can also enjoy these valuable tips. See you next time.